Hey sis, and welcome back. It's your girl, Miss Toni. All right, so now part 2. We're gonna talk about traveling without your baby. So with me, I told you guys I traveled for work and I was just gone for maybe 4 days. It wasn't even a full week, but that means I had to prepare as far as my pump schedule for the girls. And not only that, but believe it or not, I was shipping breast milk home every day because my frozen stash actually has started to dwindle, number one. Number two, I did have a fridge in my room, but after a couple days, you don't want to have that breast milk just sitting in there. I mean, you have a few days before it even begins to spoil or anything, but I just don't like it when I'm not at home and I know the temperature of my refrigerator, and then you're at a hotel and it's this little college size refrigerator. You really don't know if it's going to stay that consistent temperature the whole time. So I just don't trust it. And I don't want to just be pumping and dumping because that might make me cry. This stuff is liquid gold, okay? And so that's what I have done with all 3 children. With Kennedy, it started 5 years ago. I remember taking my first trip. I was in New York for work for actually 2 weeks. And that was a really long time. There was no way I was going to be able to maintain my milk supply if I didn't keep up the pumping. And so I found a company. They're called Milk Stork. You may have heard of them. They are a logistics company, and what they do is partner with different companies. Companies are really acknowledging that women, not only are we fierce, and not only can we do our job, but we can do our job and balance that with being a mom at the same time. And so they're trying to help with that. And of course, what they get out of it, you being more productive at work. So it kind of works out for both of us, and of course for the baby at the end of the day. So what does Milk Stork do? I've used them both business and for personal reasons. So I'll start with personal. I was traveling one time and I needed to ship some of my frozen breast milk to my in-laws' house. And this was simply because I didn't want to carry a bunch of milk with me. And at that time, I was weaning Kennedy. And so my milk supply was already declining drastically. And I had still a ton of frozen milk at home. So instead of me trying to figure out a way to pack that and protect it, I shipped the breast milk to my in-laws' house while it was still frozen. So in that instance, I ordered the boxes and had the kids sent to my house, and then I filled it with the breast milk, and then they provide the pre-shipped labels for you through FedEx. I think it's FedEx or UPS, and then you drop them at a FedEx location, or you have FedEx come up and pick them up. And so once they do, then right before they do, then you seal the box, you press the button, and it creates the temperature that the breast milk needs to either stay frozen or to just stay refrigerated during travel. It's very succinct, very secure. Here's an actual example of the box and how you fill it, and then how you close it, how you seal it, and the button that you press to begin that cooling process. So I love it. Again, that was for personal use. When I use it for business, which is what I've used it for the multiple times over the years, I have the box actually sent to my hotel room. And so instead of it coming to me and me filling it and shipping it to where I'm going, they send the box to the hotel, and then they'll send you a confirmation to say the hotel has received it. You can call just to make sure, but they typically will either have it at the front desk or they will put it in my room for me, so that when I arrive and check in, then they let me know, oh, we have a package for you, and it's just this box that has your very first day kit in it. And in this instance, I shipped home I think 3 times, and so they provided enough bags for me to fill, and then they had the labels already set for me, and then they had, of course, the 3 cooling boxes for me as well. So I love it, and it was a mom who created it, so support her. She's got these cute little bags, Moms on a Mission, and this is actually what I carried my boxes in every day, and that's for overnight delivery. And so the very first day, obviously when I'm traveling, I make sure the baby has tons of milk. If I had some that was frozen, then I make sure the baby has a lot for that first 24 hours while I'm gone. And then by the next day, she's getting the breast milk at the doorstep, and it arrives in the morning. And so for the next 3 days, the baby has fresh breast milk ready to go. So I love it. I love it, love it, love it. I highly recommend it. Again, if your company is paying for it, I paid out of pocket though. It was extremely convenient and just reduces so much time and so much stress. just through the process of traveling, and just one less thing that you have to think about. One other cool thing that you pumping mamas or breastfeeding moms are going to love, these airports, if you've never noticed them, they have pumping stations throughout. And so it's not every airport, it's usually the main larger hubs, but I've seen it in Charlotte, Atlanta, LA, Burbank, Phoenix. I've seen them all over the place. And so before you travel, you should check your local airport or whatever airport you're going to be flying out of or into to see if they have pumping stations available throughout the airport. This is what they look like. And they just are these cute little pods. Now it's going to vary from airport to airport because it's not like one company that provides these, but it's so cool just having this for moms. You know, again, just the recognition that we need this. Women are like half the world, if not more, and so for us to have provision for breastfeeding or for pumping, to be able to have privacy when we're doing it. I will tell you, not every airport has this. So on our way to Atlanta this summer, I was in a bathroom pumping multiple times. Multiple times. Here's a picture. I was not happy. It was a private family bathroom, but you know, it was a public restroom at the airport, so it wasn't like extremely clean or anything. But you know, mama's got to do what a mama's got to do. Over the last 5 years of nursing and pumping, I have gotten so used to pumping in public, and so it's not the worst thing in the world. But I have to share a quick funny story. When we were on our way to Atlanta, the plane was delayed, and I was planning to pump on the plane, which is another thing I wanted to share with you guys. You have the outlets on most of the planes now where you can just plug up your pump and pump right there in your seat while you're traveling. I like to do that because it kills two birds with one stone. You're already sitting there maybe watching a movie, playing with your kids or whatever, but to be able to just cover up using a breast cover, I would highly recommend that. One of the flights, I can't remember, I think we had a layover, we were doing a short flight to Charlotte or something, and so the airline separated us. We were all together on the way to Charlotte, but on the way from like Charlotte to Atlanta, they separated us. And so Kelvin had like one of the girls and I had two of the girls, and there was a guy sitting in the same aisle, and he was on the inside seat towards the window, and then we had the two seats in the center and then on the left, and then Kelvin was rows ahead. So when I got on, I told the flight attendant we didn't really have time for me to try to get or request our seats be put together. I didn't even notice they weren't together until we were just loading onto the plane. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I hate when they do that." She's like, "Typically what I do is just ask the person to move and they'll trade seats with you. It's usually not a big deal." Loaded up the plane, there weren't any open seats, but she said, "I'm still gonna ask them because your husband actually has emergency seat and he can't sit there with your daughter anyway, so he needs to move. I might as well just have him switch seats with the guy next to you." I was like, that would be totally fine. Just to get him, you know, back here would be great. Just be nice to have my husband right next to me. So she's like, "Okay, I got you, girl, I got you." She went and asked this gentleman if he wouldn't mind switching seats, and he said no. He was like, "No, this is my seat. I prefer this seat. This is the seat that I booked. No." Now, mind you, we're in the back of the plane. So if you didn't know, families with kids are always put at the back of the plane. You don't select that seat. Like, who would put themselves in the back of the plane? We ain't Rosa Parks up in here, right? But they will automatically, even if you book your flight like early, like weeks in advance, a couple months in advance, I've done that. It doesn't matter. If they see you're traveling with children under 18, they gonna put y'all all to the back of the plane, which is fine. You know, you're flying with other families and the kids like to see each other and play, and you know, it's a little louder and it's okay because everyone surrounding you they have kids in their family too. So it's not a big deal unless you're like him, where you're an individual flying alone, you're a grown man, and you're sitting in the back of the plane with all these kids and these families. I cannot believe this dude said no. Like, who says no? I have been asked time and time again when I've traveled alone, especially for work. If I'm not in business class, I'm in coach, they ask me if I want to switch seats so some family can get together. I have moved numerous times for families. I don't have a problem with it. Yes, I prefer my window seat, but if it's a family that needs to sit together, like it's a family that needs to sit together, you know, it's the humane thing to do. Not to old boy. Old boy was like, nah. I was like, what? So I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes, because he's moving. I knew I had to pump, and I did not want my boobs out with this dude next to me and not my husband. And I told the flight attendant that, and she's like, oh, you're just pump in front of him. I mean, he's just gonna have to deal with it. I said, no, I don't want to deal with it. He's not getting no free sneak peeks over here, okay? Like, no, I'm not doing it. So eventually the kids started doing what kids started doing, and not even just my kids, like all the kids in the back of that plane started playing and fussing and just fighting and just all the things that kids do. And then all of a sudden the baby she was hungry because my husband had the food up front and she wanted to eat, and so she started getting a little grumpy, just whining, really not crying, but just like whining a little bit. And she's right there on my lap. At first he thought it was cute, he thought she was so cute, and then over the course of that next hour he started to get so annoyed. And the family next to me, the husband looked at me, he was like, he mouthed to me, I can't believe this guy. And I was like, watch this. I did a whole usher on him, like, don't even trip. And so, yes, he switched seats with my husband, y'all. Like, of course he did. Get out of here. You don't want to be back here with these families. And you see, I am in need of my husband and my other kids. So it worked out just fine. And I was able to cover up, and Kelvin kind of covered me up so that no one was paying attention anyway, but just so no one could see. And I plugged up and pumped and did my thing, and we were a happy family. So, but before I got to the flying on the plane story, I wanted to share the pumping in the bathroom story. So I'm in the airport, and Kelvin's got the girls, and he even has the baby, and the flight's delayed, and like he's just trying to keep them busy. So they're just running around playing, and he's getting them snacks and all that good stuff while I'm in the bathroom pumping. So I found this bathroom. I walked. The airport did not have any pumping stations, unfortunately. So I found a family restroom that was decent enough. But I get in here, plug up, unload, I'm doing my thing, and then all of a sudden someone's banging on the door. And at first I just thought, oh, I'm just gonna ignore it, and I'm just pumping. I'm standing up pumping because I don't have anywhere to sit. I'm not gonna sit on a gross toilet, obviously, and there's no bench, like no sitting area. And all of a sudden I hear it, not just the normal knocking, somebody is banging on the door, like banging. And I'm like, oh my gosh, someone's in here. I'm like, no. I'm like, hello, someone's here. I'm using the restroom. They didn't respond. They just kept banging. I don't know if they broke the doorknob, but they somehow got the door opened. And at that point, I hadn't covered up because I'm just in there by myself. So I literally just got my boobs out. I had on a pumping bra, but I didn't have any clothes on because I had a dress, and I had taken the dress off to do the pumping. And so I'm in there like with underwear on and connected to a pump, which makes you already feel like not only vulnerable, but just like, if someone tries to attack me, what am I gonna do? Like, oh my gosh. So person unlocks, like somehow fidgets and gets the door open. I threw my whole body against the door because I was standing straight in the mirror, like straight where the sink is. The door was right here. I just literally lunged over towards the door, turned my back so I could put all my weight against the door, and so I wouldn't get disconnected from my pump. So I held the door, and as they're literally like trying to push, I felt like, and I don't know if y'all remember this scene in Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. Yes, I'm still a fan of Will Smith despite the slap, y'all. Forgive the man, forgive him. But if y'all remember Pursuit of Happiness, the story obviously is a true story of a man who was a homeless person and ended up becoming very successful. But in that one scene where he is in the train station and he's sleeping there, and he's with his son, and somebody tries to get in the bathroom, and you just feel the pain and the shame and the need to protect him and his child, and the embarrassment of having to live in the restroom, like just all those emotions in one. I felt that, I swear. When somebody was trying to get up in there, and I put my body up in there like, no, I just kept saying, no, somebody's in here, no. And they just were not listening. I don't know if it was a man, woman, child. Literally, I have no idea, because I never saw the person, and because they never responded. Even when I was saying, hello, there's someone in here, they just never said a word. They ended up just going away. And Helmut texted me like, come on, what's going on? It's time to board the plane. Where are you? Come on. I unhook, and I pack everything up, and I get dressed, and I'm walking out, and I slowly opened the door, and I just looked around real quick to see if anybody was looking at me funny or looking guilty or anything, and no, nobody was there. It was just a weird moment. I was like, I am so over pumping in public. I am so over pumping and traveling. So I will tell you, I'm sharing all this with you for helpful tips and tricks, but it is a lot. Like, it is a lot. It is just one more sacrifice that we as mothers make. And you don't have to do it. I mean, you could just be like, look, we going on a trip. I'm going to stop breastfeeding. I'm putting the baby on formula. Hey, more power to you. Like, I am not mad at you for that decision. I've done it this other way for 3 babies, and I'm looking forward to being done. So that's it for traveling with an infant, whether you're going to be traveling with the baby or without, business or pleasure, hotel, Airbnb, doesn't matter. You should be prepared as much as you can, and just be aware of what some of the things that you're going to need before traveling, and then some of the logistics of pumping and nursing. So I hope that helps. If you know any mamas that are traveling and have plans for travel and they just aren't sure what to pack or what to do, send them my link. I would love to have them subscribe. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.